Hello, making an afternoon video. I didn't want to make a video today because I have other things to do, but I think this is such an important subject that I need to talk about and that I have been thinking about last night excessively and all day today, and I woke up thinking about it. I woke up actually formulating sentences already. That's what I do a lot. That's very strange. Like I'm constantly giving lectures because my mind is so fixated on formulating sentences that can be understood by the public so that we can introspect and that we can, for the first time in our lives, that we can actually look at all of those mechanisms that are going on inside of us and all of the emotional stuff, all the memories and our coping mechanisms and the never-ending act-outs and storytelling that we tell ourselves about our lives and so on, but always bypassing the pain, the actual festering wound that's underneath. And so I think this is very, very important to talk about this. Last night I was in the chat room and there were all of my friends, the nicer people, some of them, I really care about them. But I don't think they know that I care about them. They see, oh, I'm writing about something that I know better than they do, I know better than they do because I have experienced all of this. I've come around, I have been through all of this myself. I have seen around the corner in life, and literally gotten very close to death myself many times. And I've seen into the abysses, and I am able to extrapolate from right now to later. Okay, I've done all of this, so I have a knowing, a knowledge that is not just a bottom, that's not just a top down, but it's a bottom up. So it is a bottom up processing that is happening in my brain, where I experience things. I have knowledge too that was put in and always added on top of other stuff. But I also make sure in meditation to sort all of that out and to inspect all of this critically and put things to the test for myself. And I test things on myself. I've tested things many times on myself, including herbs, but also I'm talking about psychological processes. I tested it, and then I have a bottom-up processing happening where I learn from my own empirical experiencing. Okay, so and that is how we all should walk through life, by testing things and not be afraid to test things on yourselves, particularly when it comes to mental stuff and mental illness and emotions and processing of trauma and so on. So it's not that so much that we need to have this star psychologist or something. The star psychologist can't even help if you are not willing to work on it. So I'm basically discussing the tools for people to get into it on their own. You don't need someone there sitting next to you and hold your hand. I hold your hand through this video, okay? The rock here gives you good energy, protective energy, okay? You don't have to be afraid. What's much worse, what we really should be afraid of, is not going into this stuff. What we should be afraid of, and I told people that in the chat room, that's why they got so mad at me. What I told them is that what we should be afraid of is what people are doing, their act outs, their numbing of pain, the dissociation, the disconnect, the running on high speed away from their past at all times, That's what they should be afraid of, because that runs them into the abyss, okay? That's not fun to live like this. Not just because the abyss is at the end of the road, or a brick wall you just smash your head against, or struggles to the bones and whatever, and physical war and fights and all of that is at the end of the road. Or illness is at the end of the road, immune problems. The list goes on. Even accidents happen because of that. Accidents are not accidents. Accidents are not by chance. They don't happen by chance. Accidents are their direct karmic events that happen. They happen because people are not focused. Okay. People drive when they're upset or when they're intoxicated. So then these things happen because they're not focused on the road. That's why we need self-driving cars. So that's one big reason. So, or even people falling. Those are not happening by chance. Okay, these so-called accidents. So all of this happens because the person is not focused. When I walk through the room, I have to have equilibrium in my body or I fall over. The same goes with focusing your mind on something that you're doing, or working with something, typing even, or even speaking. If I have too many thoughts going through my mind, I'm not fully focused, and then I will reverse words, like I already did in this video. So that happens very quickly if I'm not fully mindful and focused. If I just want to say 10 things at once, So same, there's a heart again in the sky. Oh, thank you, 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 blue God, for all these hearts. Gorgeous, oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I see a bud, and I see a mushroom. So yeah, those are cloud formations. I love the sky. It gives me this sense of infinite space. Feels really, really good to look in the sky. I recommend to people to do this every day. Take your shoes off, get grounded on the earth, and look into the sky. Okay, very, very important. I have to do this after the video. I have to go out there and get grounded. I haven't gotten grounded yet, so I've been talking to Paul about the haters and about the Muslim men pretending to be European looking men taking other people's photos because they think that's the only way they can even get a woman to talk to them. They feel so ugly. They really feel ugly. They feel ugly on the outside and on the inside. And And the reason why is because they have been severely traumatized in their lives. Severely traumatized. The people in the Middle East and Africa have been so severely traumatized. We cannot even wrap our heads around it. Okay. And of course, I still get angry because of their deceptive behavior and crooked behavior, and they want to scam money, and they think that's the most normal thing in the world. They never learned anything else, and they think the people owe them, and they think that they need to get things for free, and they like things better when they steal it. They like money better when they have been slick about it and taken it, and it gives them this feeling of revenge or being in charge, or all of these unempowerment feelings that are underneath those kind of behaviors. And yes, I get mad because I'm not a god. I'm an indigo. I'm a human being. I have my own mental issues to deal with that I'm still working out and will always work out for the rest of my life. It never ends. It's a non-stop healing and processing work that we do throughout all of our lives, all of our years, all the way to the very end. And it's good. It's better to do this than not to do it, because then the more we work on ourselves, the happier we become, the more grounded we become, the more wholesome we become, okay? And the more wholesome information we can transfer to other people. Okay, so it's a very, very important thing to do. This is important for all of us. We're not cut off from things. People will say to me, they want to drink their beer, and that's their recreation, as they call it. And I don't have the right to tell them that alcohol should be completely avoided. And what they're doing is they're just hurting themselves with that mind state, okay, with getting mad at me for giving them friendly and compassionate advice. They get mad for many reasons, but because they don't want to change, they feel a sense they feel like they fall into an abyss if they quit. But it's also because I am giving them advice and I act like I know better. And then the ego comes in, and their egos say to them that they need to defend themselves against me, when I'm just harmlessly, compassionately giving them love and good advice. So they feel like they need to defend themselves, and they need to get mad at me, and some of them insult me, and some of them do covert psychological cruelty, and I guess some people are not even aware of their covert, cruel type of act outs that they do in social settings. So I get mad, but then I sit with that anger for a moment and I let it churn through, and I might even cry, or I might even complain for a moment. Okay, so then I got that off my chest, and then I breathe, and then I go into problem solving modality. And then I think, okay, I need to talk about this for myself. I need to talk about this for other people, to get this train of thought going also in other people, not just in myself. When I have something to share, I want to share it because I want other people to get into it. I think it is absolutely important. The sooner you get into this, the better for you and the whole world. It's true, because we're in all of this together. Okay, you're not living disconnected from the whole world. This is one matrix. You're acting out with alcohol is making the world worse, and you standing up for your alcohol consumption and making this into something okay or something recreational, giving it harmless names and stuff like this, doing an alcohol apologizing. You're an alcoholic apologist, basically, So that is not making the world good. That makes the world worse. But you don't know in that moment, You're just in that mental state of defending your lifestyle. But the main thing is, and that is what this subject is about here in this video, the main thing that is underneath this self-defense, this constant self-defense, and constantly justifying and all of this, is because there's shame underneath. And that shame was put into almost all of us, almost all humans, myself included. Almost all of us have been shamed by our parents and wider family and peer group and society and teachers and so on, university professors, and the list goes on. And people we meet randomly, trolls, haters, bullies. We have been shamed, okay, endlessly. It's one big shame domino effect that's going on in a matrix form, not just in a linear, but in a two-dimensionally spanning network, that hits all of our heads, So, and then a constantly, or 3D network, that it is a 3D matrix, where we trigger each other in a constant perpetuate way, constant perpetuation of shame, hurt, pride, perpetuation. So I need to use examples to make this more understood. This is very important. The details really in the examples with this. Let's take my grandfather. My grandfather, when he grew up, I think he was born 1908. He doesn't live anymore now. So 1908, that's a rough time. Stone Age kind of, and psychologically people were really in a complete dark age. They knew nothing about anything. Okay, that was even pre the 50s. So the 50s were really the epitome of cruelty. Also, particularly in research with the behaviorists and all of this. But growing up at the turn of the century, around 1900, must have been absolutely abhorrent. And his father, he was always interested in stamps. He liked to collect stamps. He sees these stamps, these emblems, these very delicately painted and drawn things on the stamps, those are prints, of course, but made, delicately made artworks originally in order to make the stamps and, the frames. In the past, the stamps were much more like an art piece, more like a Rembrandt or something. So he liked that, and he was collecting that. And his dad was mad at him and flushed his stamp collection down the toilet. Okay, massive trauma right there. Okay, and that's, of course, not the worst trauma that can happen to people. There are much, much worse things that have happened to people during their childhoods. Okay. So, and then he was also hit, and they were beaten by their parents. It was absolutely horrendous. At least that has become something that is no longer accepted by the jurisdiction. So at least that, we're moving a little bit forward now with that. But most people are still in their mental states. They're still in a fog, and they're still adhering. It's very, very difficult for most people to dig themselves out of these old trauma networks and these old trauma mechanisms that are happening in their own heads. Because most people, when they experience pain in childhood, instead of questioning that, they will adapt to it. They will adapt their lives around it. They will accept it. They will not question it. They will not touch it. Okay, they will not walk away from it. They will try to please their parents. They try to anything they can. Sometimes nothing pleases their parents, and then they get what they call, where they did monkey tests. It's just so awful. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just too bad. But where the monkey ends up tearing his hair out because nothing works, they're completely cornered. And the children experience the same thing, and yet most children are still not capable of questioning that, because they worship their parents. They put their parents on a pedestal. They think their parents are their gods. They think their parents are the ultimate authority. So they have to work around to this, and they have to try harder and harder and harder and harder to work around it. And they always, and for boys it's like light years worse than for girls. Light year. I see this now on the internet. All of this is, for me, this answers so many questions that I've had my entire life. Why men in particular and boys are so much more on edge and so much meaner and so much more under a pressure cooker. I've always wondered about this, what this is all about. Testosterone fuels this, of course, but that doesn't mean that if you're full of testosterone that you're automatically a mean person. No, you can use your testosterone. You can funnel that in something better. You can funnel that into being a brave hero to rescue animals, okay, like Paul Watson has done, Captain Paul Watson from Sea Shepherd. So that's the ultimate prototypical example of a man who is loaded with testosterone and who funnels it into the right direction, okay, who is the right father material. Okay, that's what we women are. We're just naturally drawn to, I've always had a crush on him, always will. It wouldn't matter to me how old he gets. He has white hair, he is in his 60s. I'm still attracted to him physically, I still would make love to him. He's married, of course. He has a beautiful young woman. Okay, he doesn't need anyone else. and he deserves a beautiful young woman, and she is also an animal rights activist, a very, very high-minded angel soul. She got it all, okay? She got everything. That woman has everything. And we can be jealous, and it's okay, let's sit with that jealousy, and it's all good, okay? So, but that is the man that women want. All women want that man. Even very neurotic women who had also the tendency to end up with an asshole, they really look up to him. They see the main thing is that an asshole is not what is the asshole part is not what is attractive to women. What's attractive to women is when a man is completely standing his ground, when a man does not buckle under pressure. Okay, that is massively attractive. When a man is sober, when a man doesn't touch anything toxic. Okay, when a man is completely in charge of his mind and body, and is a warrior of love, and goes out there and rescues dogs and other animals, goes out there to save the whales, to protect the whales from the Japanese whale hunters. Okay. So all women, all straight women are absolutely, they have starry eyes, they have hearts on their eyes, and that's why he has always had hundreds and thousands, and now it's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of girls and women out there of all ages who are madly in love with him and who want to be his girlfriend. Okay, so he's always had, like, also in the past, some asshole interviewer would come to try to debunk Sea Shepherd and to make them look bad, and they will say, "So I see you have a lot of girlfriends, huh?" Trying to make him look unethical or something, which is idiotic, because we should have open relationships. And Paul Watson would say, "Which girlfriends? You mean, I have many girlfriends." Or, one interviewer would say, "So, is your girlfriend here too?" And he would say, "Which girlfriend? I have like 10. So, and I think that's really cool. That's really, really how it should be. We should live and share our love, and not be putting someone in a cage and saying, "You can't love someone else. You can't." And of course, by love I mean compassion, but I also mean, you can't box someone up and say, "You can only touch me and no one else." No, it doesn't work that way. So we need to be free. Okay, and all animals need to be free. All animals need to be completely free. All birds need to be free, and they need to be able to fly. Okay, birds, they need freedom more than any other living being, and yet I see them in small cages. It's an absolute nightmare for me to see this. So watch the videos by Heidi Fleiss. She is an animal rights activist on YouTube. She is amazing. I love Heidi. We're the same age, and she is rescuing macaque parrots. Many of them had come from horrific conditions. She rescued them. She nursed them back to health. They're all free. They can come and go as they want out there in Pahrump, Nevada. Okay. So I think this is absolutely fantastic. And she said, yes, some people are horrified because they are tame birds. They can get into the wrong person's garden, which has happened to one of her female birds, and the bird was beaten by a woman. That woman needs to be head bolted for beating a parrot. Okay, and Heidi Fleiss was devastated and in total grief and shock how this Republican lady could beat her parrot. So because Heidi's parrot went into Republican lady's garden, Republican lady lured the parrot in with fruits, and because the Republican lady has a chip on her shoulder against Heidi Fleiss because of, way back in the past. Heidi was big subject on the news, because she was the Hollywood madam, and I see nothing wrong with that, but of course, that wasn't legal in California, so that's why Heidi went to Nevada. But she's not doing that anymore. She is completely focused on rescuing animals. But this Republican lady probably didn't like that Heidi was in the news. Heidi is this big celebrity and very, very beautiful woman. And this Republican lady has this courage, and she lets it out on Heidi's parrot. And how horrific, and someone like this is really, really, really messed up in the head, and people like this should be head bolted. I have to talk about this. This is so incredibly important. So we need to discuss this, even though this is a painful subject, but all of this needs to be discussed. Okay, this Republican lady who beat that parrot, that innocent female 1-year-old macaw who was born in Heidi's house, and to father and mother free macaws, and that macaw was, naive, of course. She didn't know how bad some people are. She flew into that backyard, and she thought, oh, everyone is as cool and wonderful as Heidi is, not knowing that she ended up in a hater backyard, and the woman did terrible things, stomped on the parrot and broke her wings and legs, and then she called Heidi and said, I have your parrot. Your parrot is injured, and you give me ransom money or I will kill her. And Heidi paid that ransom money, got the parrot, brought the parrot to the veterinarian. It took her a long time to recover. I just can't take it at all. So Heidi was talking about all of this, and she said that a lot of people are mad at her, and they are horrified by this, and they say, how can you let the parrots free when they're going in someone's backyard, and when they can get in danger and those dangerous situations. But Heidi said, and rightly so, she said, she's very well aware of the dangers, and all of this can happen. Another parrot flew onto a power line and got electrocuted to death. So the police called her, and they said they were deeply sorry for that. And most people in Pahrump like her, like what she does. They support her work. And she says all of these risks are there. The dangers are out there. The world is rocky. It has its spikes and its risks and pitfalls and dangers and traps and all of this, as we all experience. Okay. But we cannot lock someone up into just one house. I mean, that would still be light years better than how other people have their parrots. It's in aviaries that are just like a small room. That's real cruel. And some people, even smaller cages, that's even worse. So it's still better to have, there's some good people that have their parrots in the house, and some of them clip the wings so that they can't get into a dangerous situation. Okay, so they might have them outside, but clip the wings so that they just wander around. But I understand. But what Heidi said, her argument for the total freedom of the macaws, of all birds, is that this total freedom of being able to fly out as far as they want to fly out and come back as they want to. She has the food out there. They know where her house is. She has windows in the ceiling where they get in, and probably has very high electric bills, but because she also heats that house, and they chew everything up, but she lives for them. Her whole life is dedicated to the macaws. And I think that's wonderful, okay? Heidi Fleiss is a God level soul, a very, very advanced level soul. But a lot of people don't see it because they're blinded by their religion and their religious judgment and their judgment on people who have been in the sex industry and so on. So there's nothing wrong with people who have been in the sex industry. I was in it myself, and I see nothing wrong with it at all. Okay, so we are free, sexual, living beings. Okay, we have hormones. We need to be free with this. Bird free. Okay, and the birds too. Very important. The shame has to end. All of this ties in with the subject shame. All of that. The lady who hurt the bird, that's an accumulation of mental disconnect. Okay, that has been going on in that. I assume she probably 60 or 50, something like this, where the shit has been accumulating and accumulating and accumulating in her without ever any insight into her own mind. And then it just, this train inside of her just derails and shoots off in the wrong direction, and it picks up pace, and the mind is not conscious anymore at all. She's just cultivating her rage more and more and more against Heidi Fleiss. Some people pick one celebrity and then they cultivate this, out of jealousy that has never been worked out, that has never been dealt with. Okay, they have never sat down and actually said, I'm jealous of Heidi Fleiss. Let me do some introspection here so that this thing doesn't derail and escalate in the wrong direction. Okay. For some people, it could never escalate in that direction. Someone with a high compassion center in the brain, that could never escalate in that direction. But even a person that doesn't have a very built out compassion center in the brain, this is actual brain anatomy, that is responsible for this or that development in someone's life, So this makes the difference between someone becoming a murderer and someone just becoming depressed or miserable. Or they might even hurt themselves or commit suicide. So there's a difference. Yeah, if the amygdala formation, those are two almond-shaped formation. If they're very large, the person will, with the pain, with the abuse and all of the same abuse, not dealing with the pain, okay, might end up committing suicide or getting the C word, or cutting or putting themselves in danger of being murdered with a psychopathic boyfriend or whatever, versus the other person with the atrophied amygdala, with the same pain, exact same childhood pain, also not dealt with it, will derail into a violent murder or mass murder, okay, of animals and humans. So I'm putting this into perspective here, okay, so that people know, okay, how much brain anatomy plays into it. Check out Dr. Adrian Rain. He studied this in depth for many years, for I don't know, 30 years or something. He's an absolute world top expert on neuroscience. Okay, he has put violent criminals into those fMRI machines. He had a van with that machine in it. He drove from one prison to another. I mean, absolutely dedicated, long-term work on this subject. Okay, and very interesting findings. Okay, there are very clear differences in the brain between a psychopath and someone who is not a psychopath. So, and someone who has extreme compassion. So they also stand way out from the general public. And someone with very, very built out large amygdala. And so there's much that goes into the subject. I can just talk about this for hours and hours and hours, because I've done a lot of researching and watching documentary films and reading books on the subject and so on, and also, of course, studying at schools, different schools, private schools, university, and master programs for psychology and all of this. I talked to many professors. I have read many of their books, and I'm absolutely totally fascinated with psychology and neuroscience. I also want people to check out the work by Dr. Robert Sapolsky. So absolute also world leading professor, the best professor, best to listen to, very informative, very organized and well articulated lectures that are very, very structured and very easy to understand. So, and I do my best. I do the best I can. I'm probably not so easy to understand. I make mistakes. My mind goes from one thing to the next, and it's very hard to focus sometimes for me, because I have so many things going through my mind. But this can be practiced, and I'm trying to practice this with these videos. So I'm trying to practice this, putting structure into what I'm trying to say. All of these things tie in with this. And really the main theme, this common denominator, that can really also, that can make a huge difference. Yeah. Even in someone with atrophied amygdala, compassion center, hippocampus, many formations that also go into compassion, not just the amygdala. It's very, very complex. All of these formations are also in a constant communication and interaction with one another. Neuronal interaction. It's amazing what happens in a brain, in an animal or human brain. It's absolutely amazing. This is a cosmos of stuff that goes on in there. It's mind-boggling what's going on. It's just so infinitely fascinating, and people will never completely understand it, because it's so vastly complex. It will probably never fully understood. But it is good. It's good to study it. It's good to practice. It's good to do meditation. It's good to do all of these things. It's good to heal, because the more we do, the more we heal, the more we read, the more we learn, the more we study this, the farther we come, and the better will be our lives. Also, for the whole of this entire matrix, this is all interconnected. Okay, so to use this example between the psychopath and the person who would just suffer silently and not let it out on others is very clear. But if we do introspection meditation, I would hypothesize that the person who takes the stuff inside and does not let it out on others because they have huge compassion center, I would postulate that these people will also be more willing to do the introspection meditation in the first place. So, but whether they are more willing or not, either one, the psychopath or the other one, if they applied it, would greatly benefit from it. So anyone out there, no matter what the person's mental pain is, or pain derangement and escalation and so on, they can stop at any time on this, in their personal, I wouldn't call it development, on their personal escalation, So you can stop at any time, whatever you're doing, whether you're drinking alcohol, taking drugs, whether you're acting out with violence, sadistic people, whatever people are doing. People that are controlling others, that are always they like to work in law enforcement just in order to control others, just to please their egos. All of this is out there. All of this exists. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just pointing it out. So we need to become aware about it. This is really the very first step. But the ego doesn't want to become aware, because the ego wants to keep this going, wants to keep this escalating. Because the ego has almost become its own entity, energetic entity. So that is tethered to the person. But it's become an entity. That's also kind of like what ghosts is made out of. Ghosts that can still have this entity of ego attached to them. So, like a bardo situation. But I'm not going to get into this now. But let's stay with neuroscience for right now. These things we can observe and see, and that have been verified scientifically. So anyone can greatly benefit from this introspection process. Anyone can. Okay, and if you are just willing to, if you can conquer, I don't know if we should use that word, because that's already a word the ego would use. If we can melt through, if we can transcend this hurdle of shame, if you can transcend the hurdle of shame, in that moment you transcend that hurdle of shame. Let me give you an example. Let me take, who do I take? I don't want to offend anyone, so let me just do an anonymous example. Okay, a hater in the chat room, okay, who almost unconsciously lashes out at a woman because she did not take his bait to, she didn't let him lure her into sending nudes or whatever. Instead, she says, I see you have a fake account. You're using someone else's photos, I can just tell. So first he adores her and, oh, I want to make love with you and all that. Okay, and then rejection. Okay, he feels rejected, even though she didn't reject him. She may have said before, I like you, okay, you look good, and nothing wrong with you. And I don't want anyone who watches this, who has been on Facebook, to take this now as personal affront. This is not addressed at anyone out there personally. This is a completely made up this is just a caricaturistic example. Okay, so derived from many different people. Okay, some of these people that contacted me on Facebook are very, very sweet. Okay, and I love them dearly. I care about them. Okay, but some of them are pretty pricky. Okay, but I care about all, because I know they're coming from pain. Okay, they're unconscious. They have not dealt with this. They are driven by shame and pride. It's the same coin. This whole coin needs to be dissolved. Shame and pride, they're two sides of the same coin. Okay, it's pain. The coin is called pain from childhood. That's all it is. Pride is just a coping mechanism of the ego. Yeah, it's a fata morgana. It's a mirage. It is not based on. It's what they call Maya in Sanskrit. It's an illusion. It's made up out of this entity, ego, that has escalated itself, into an entity, and that wants to hang on to all of this. That doesn't want to heal. Like the pharma industry, when someone holistic comes in, they don't want the public to know that you can heal yourself very easily with this or that. No, they want to amputate people's legs. They get more money. The ego works in the same way, and in all of these pharma people, there is ego. There is the microcosmos of the ego too. So we have the egoic overcosmos, macrocosmos of the corporate world, and in every one of those players is the microcosmos of the ego happening. Okay, so if the hater feels rejected very easily, just a frown on my head, on my face, can make them feel rejected. I've seen this in LA. I walk across the street, I feel terribly depressed already. I feel rejected, So man walks across the street, sees my frown, and goes into a spasmic mental state of rage, and shouts at me, and I just run and try to get away very quickly, He sees my frown, and because of I feel rejected by society. I can't get a gallerist, whatever. I feel people laughing about me. Back in LA, I was much more unconscious. I was still on pharma drugs, okay? But, I feel bad. I'm depressed. I have this frown on my face. The guy sees me, and immediately he thinks I am rejecting him because of my frown. That has nothing to do with him at all. But he doesn't think. He sees everything as pertaining to him. That's a form of schizophrenia, actually, that can take on massive proportions in the cluster B personality disorders. I know all of this now. If I had known it then, I wouldn't have taken it so personally. I would not have gone to some other dude coming out of a hospital where I said, "Oh, I need to cry on your shoulder," and I do like, "What's wrong with that woman? I need to get away," So, all of these things happening, all of this domino, we're domino affecting each other, with our own issues, people taking offense to other people's own issues that have nothing to do with them. So the hater, the characteristic example I'm using, the hater who flirts with me, and then he feels rejected by me because I just happen to question his profile photos as being, I think they may be fake, Of course that hurts the ego. But all of this, sometimes I also get a bit angry and pissed, and then I will say that because it's just so irritating to me to see this constant fakeness happening. And I feel like shaking people up, literally. I feel like saying, "Wake up, guy, don't do this anymore." You can never establish a friendship with anyone. I mean, I'm not even talking about a romantic relationship. You can never, ever have anyone trust you, establish any kind of rapport, any kind of actual, there's an actual friend. I have an actual friend. Her name is Sandy. Non-romantic, okay? We're straight women. We like each other as friends. This has developed because... And I'm probably also sometimes going on her nerves, and I'm well aware of that, and that's all okay. I'm not blaming her for that, of course. I'm not the easiest going person in the world. So, but she loves me. You know how much that means to me? That's a real rapport, She may not have seen me for a while. She comes and says, "Oh, there you are. I just want to see how you're doing." You have no idea how much that means to me, Sandy. You have no idea. You have no idea, people out there, how much this means to me. You have no idea, people out there, how much that means to you and anyone else. And the haters have no idea how important this rapport is, this friendship. I'm not talking about, a lot of Middle Eastern people. They can only see friendship in terms of sexuality. They don't know anything else because they have never experienced kindness, just as kindness. Okay, this is how bad it is in the Middle East. So, looking at it from above, it's easier for me to understand where they're coming from. It's very, very sad. Very sad. We all should look at it from above and understand. That doesn't mean we need to bring them into our country. That doesn't mean now, free range for them to come in and headbutt us and cut our heads off. No. Okay. No. Okay. We want to live. We want to protect our communities. But we need to understand them. Nevertheless, okay? And we need to understand ourselves. I think this is absolutely vital. So anyway, this caricaturistic example. A man, let's say someone from Iraq. He sees my profile photo. He thinks, "Oh, big fat white woman, let me try." So they like them white chicks. So big. And they like big. Okay, and they don't have this ridiculous Calvin Klein extra complication as we have in the Western world. I'm not going to get into this right now. That's also all based on shame, but it's all shame based, shame and pride. All of this, okay, almost all humans, the whole human species has ridden itself into shame, pride, neurosis. It's one humongous neurosis, like no other species on this planet. Okay, that's why Friedrich Nietzsche, he already recognized this 150 years ago. Okay, that's why he wrote books about this. So let's take this guy. He's from Iraq. He sees a fat white woman. He compliments her, wants to have sex with her. Most of them are not even straightforward with that. So let's say he's straightforward with that. And she sees the name Javad al-Habrambra. I'm making this name up. And he is from Tehran, Iran. Okay, it says on his profile. But the photos are of a man from Germany, like a white man with a white beard, cuddling a dog. Okay. Like someone who he is absolutely like the opposite. He's coming from this brutal psychopathic society, not from a society where men cuddle with dogs on a couch. But he uses these photos because he thinks that's what gets him a woman. But then again, at the same time, if the woman says, "Why don't you cuddle with the dog?" Once she, if they can hold this up for a while, that lie, but it only goes so far until they get mad. Then what the true person, the true brain is behind that profile. It doesn't take very long for me to figure it out because I've seen a lot, studied all of this. And I'm also very intuitive, not to say psychic. So see all of this, So let's say the woman, the fat white woman sees this and says, there's an incongruency here. Your name is Iranian, you are from Tehran, but you have photos of a man from Germany, or let's say Finland. Some of them do, it's very blatant. Like someone who totally looks completely differently to them. And so there's all extreme infinite sadness behind this, because they themselves feel ugly, so they use someone they think that's prettier, someone from Finland. It's all infinitely sad. My message to you is, you are precious and pretty and gorgeous and sweet and love worthy, just the way you are. The man from Tehran, okay, or Africa, or Pakistan, or India, wherever these people are from, or China, or Taiwan, or Malaysia, wherever you're from, or the Philippine Islands. You are precious just the way you are. You women out there and you men. Okay. You don't need to hide behind some Finnish man's photos, or German, or whatever. Or some use the photos of a celebrity, like Rock Hudson or whatever, like they think, oh, let me take the photos of a celebrity from way in the past. People won't recognize him anymore, the new generations. So, but an intuitive fat white woman is gonna see through this, okay, and she'll say, an incongruency. And she'll point that out, and maybe even point that out in a eye-twinkling way, and not even in a mean way, but the ego sees this rejection. The ego thinks, now she rejects everything about me. Most men don't even show their photo at all, okay? But they feel rejected instantly by a woman not being 100% in approval of what they said. Feel completely devastatingly floored and thrown onto the battleground and beheaded. That's how they feel. Just because the woman hasn't laughed about their joke, or is ignoring them, or talking to someone else, I see it all these things happening out there. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. You guys, you know what I'm talking about very well. Okay? This should be firing neurons. Know what I'm talking about. This is the very first step of introspection. Okay? You have to get into it. It's painful, I know. This is a bottleneck of healing. Okay? You have to go through this bottleneck. I call it the Ego Dissolution Funnel. You have to go through this funnel, okay? It's painful and raw, okay? But it's not as painful, not near as painful, trust me, as you continuing on this path of hate with Black Lives Matter and the unempowerment, self-telling stories, and the entitlement, and this entitlement to a woman when you haven't worked shit on yourself, okay? So how can you get a woman if you have never worked on your mental states, okay? So you have to go through this funnel in order to heal, okay? And it feels raw, but if you go into it, you automatically have other people, even some women and girls might see this immediately. Women are, by the way, very intuitive, okay? We see this immediately when someone is willing to humble down and go through that dissolution, ego dissolution funnel, and become real and honest with themselves, okay? And feel it and go through it, No longer play games of hide and seek and pretension and facades, okay, and bragging and pride. It's all based on shame, okay? We see through this. Women see through this. Also neurotic women see through this. A neurotic woman will immediately see, that guy doesn't feel too good about himself if he's bragging the shit out of everything. We see that. We're not impressed with someone who brags the shit out of his life. We see that as weak. We see that as unempowerment. Most women immediately see that. the woman brain is already way more evolved in this way. That has to do with evolution. So you can't trick us with these things. Just because you don't see someone doesn't mean you can't be seen, right? So you're blind. Now you think, oh, they can't see me. Wrong. They see you with the blinders on. Okay? So go through that dissolution funnel, man, and become humble. Look at yourself. Sit down on the couch and say, yeah, admit that you're jealous of Elon Musk. Admit it. No. Whatever, I'm not going to mention any name. I don't want to get under fire. But I have some specific people in mind here, some celebrity people that are extremely jealous of Elon Musk. Okay, and then they have to figure out some egoic, ridiculous ways to make fun of Elon Musk and then even catch us on fire, and then they all make fun of Elon Musk in the same way, and so their egos can feel a little bit better. You know, that's a mirage. That's smokes. Okay, that's self-deception. Don't do it. Sit down and say, you're jealous of Elon Musk, okay? Now, accept that. It's a fact. It's a truth. Sit with it and accept that feeling. Sit with this raw, terrible feeling. I'm making a video. It's not shining at the kitchen. So, you're okay. It's all shame. It's shame again. You know, shame. It's all shame. He's not a celebrity who wants to hide himself. This is all based on shame. All of this, you know. And embarrassment and I don't want to be seen. Yeah, but I don't feel like a Barbie either. You know, so. But I show myself because I'm for real, okay? And I want you to be for real. You already are for real now. Now show that you are for real. You out there, Muhammad and Javad and Israel and Zahedi and whatever these names are out there, okay? And Pretty. I love Pretty, she's sweet. So there is a very slow-moving insect. And outside on the balcony door, I think it is a cricket. And the cricket says, it is getting cold. I don't feel like cricketing right now. It is getting very, very cold, yes. And I can only slowly walk on that screen. Very, very, very slowly. So Paul went back outside. He's like, she's making a video. I better go back outside. So anyway, getting back to the man from Iraq, the caricaturistic example. He says to the white fat woman, hey, I like you. I wanna. First he says, hi, I just want to see how you're doing. No. And then she talks to him, and then he goes, I want your nude photos. Oh. And then she says, oh, there's an incongruency in your profile on Facebook. Your name doesn't match the face in the Facebook. Okay. A fake Facebook face. So, and then he feels rejected. Okay. It's doom and gloom. It's horror. For the ego. Then the ego lashes out. Sometimes so quickly and so automatically they're not even aware of it. And he says to her, I bet you're a man. I bet you are. You must be a man. Look at how bad you look. You don't look feminine. So you don't even have your hair is not like Kim Kardashian's. You must be a man. And the woman goes like, okay, here we go again. Let me blocky. Okay. And then he's blocked, and then an hour later, he goes back to her profile, and he's blocked. The profile is no longer there. And he goes, how dare she? And in person, he would hit her with a brick over the head. Probably cause her a bad injury. An hour later, he'll go, what are you talking about? I didn't hurt you. I didn't do anything to you. You should take me back. That's how they are. This is total cognitive dissonance. That's what happens when people do not deal with their emotional pain. Okay, so shame is underneath, childhood trauma. Okay, it can be dealt with. Okay, it can be worked through. And if you work through this, I know it's painful, it's a long process, but just an inch working through this will make your life a whole lot happier, and will gain you a whole lot more friends, and will make better rapport and more honest friendships. Not just romantic, I'm talking in general. Get more real respect, not some dude respect of big penises or some kind of how many chicks you banged dude respect. I'm talking about, or in women, it's how famous we are on Instagram. I don't even like that website. I can't write long blogs on it. So what good does it do? How can I move and shake the world with Instagram, right? So no, I have to have a window to the world to talk to people about all of this. This is extremely important. Okay, so I'm not filming it. It's not filming this direction. I'm almost done with the video also. I'm wrapping this up now. So you see how quickly the ego and this the schizophrenia, how quickly this escalates, into warlike behavior and lashing out and quick hurt reactions and all of this, And then a lot of women, when they get insulted like that, for me, I suffer from it too. I sit with it, I cry. A lot of women don't know how to cry. Most humans don't know how to cry. Most humans don't know how to sit with that and go through this ego dissolution funnel. Okay, for the girls and women out there, do what I do. Sit on the couch with that pain, with that raw feeling. You've been called man. Your femininity has been questioned. They want to have your vagina photos to verify that you're a woman. This has happened to a girl, Amanda Todd. Okay, she was a teenager, didn't know better. She was completely caught in this vortex of pain. And she sent the photos. Look, see, now I'm a girl. They did the same exactly, went through exactly the same sequence. So, and one courageous man from Pakistan has also confirmed this and told me that that's what they do. Okay. So when they don't get what they want, they become forceful and they become violent, and then they become coercive in this way. And then a lot of teenage girls, particularly teenage girls, who are not firm in their own mental states yet, they will give into this, and then they did extortion with her and said they want to have sex with her, and if she doesn't have sex with them, then they're going to expose her photos to her school. She moved from one school to another, like 3 or 4 times. and they caught up with her every single time, and they exposed her photos to her school, like on the bulletin board and stuff like this, and she was so embarrassed and was so horrific for her that she committed suicide. Okay, this story should not be forgotten. Okay, and so this is just, we need to really keep in mind how the human ego, and I'm talking about the psychopaths here, the men in this, what they have done to girls and women with their neurosis, because they were not willing to do introspection and heal their own pain. Okay, and my message to women is, it doesn't matter how many times you get bullied or insulted, or they nitpick everything about you, they nitpick everything about me. Okay, we sit with it and we don't give in to them. Don't give in. Don't say, oh, now I have to prove to you, I gotta send you my nudes. And no, don't do it. Don't ever send an asshole your nudes. Okay, don't ever give them food for or any kind of reward for this psychopathic behavior ever. Never ever, to anyone out there, never ever give into extortion of any kind. Okay, and then we make the world better. If you don't give into extortion, Ellen DeGeneres says giving into extortion to the Black Lives Matter movement, and made this shitty Black Lives Matter apology video. She wasn't crying. She was crying because they made her kneel on the grass. Okay, they invaded her home. They broke into her home and make her do this video. That's why she was crying. She was crying for whole months. Okay, she gave into extortion with this. That's what happens. You're not gonna make the world better. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Muslim agenda, ISIS, that's one unit. Okay, they want to extort the shit out of the world. Okay, don't give into it. Okay, just don't give into it. Okay, work on the shame that's underneath. The men out there that are violent, work on the shame. Then you don't have to be violent anymore. You can create real, genuine friendships. It feels a lot better. Okay, whether you're wealthy or not wealthy. Okay, if you don't have your health, your physical health or your mental health, if you don't have real, genuine friendship, what good is the wealth? What good is your power of government, regime, militia, your pride, your accomplishments, your violence accomplishments in quotation marks? What good is any of that? You're winning video games. Some people, they're proud of having murdered people. All of this is a mirage. This is not real. Okay, this is sickness. What good is your? What good is? I want to be careful how I word myself. What good is your wealth? What good is what you're doing right now? Any of that? If all of this is sickness, is based on sickness, whether it's physical or mental or both, in most cases. Okay. So real wealth is real wholeness of mind, and it's an ongoing process. I'm not saying I'm enlightened. We will never be enlightened. Nobody. The only one who's enlightened is the infinite cosmos. Gautama Buddha, Jiddu Krishnamurti, Kenny Redwood. Okay, my former dog. So that's the infinite cosmos coming into existence. Only the infinite cosmos as the overall soul, infinite cosmos soul coming into existence can create this enlightenment. Okay, no one else. Elon Musk is very, very, very close. Maybe this is his last lifetime now, before he merges with the infinite cosmos, and I think it is, because he will die on Mars. And what better way than to celebrate this merging from this last stage, which is Buddha level soul. And, there can be many generations, many incarnations of Buddha level soul until that moment of merging with the infinite cosmos. But Elon will do it upon his death on Mars in, 30, 40, 50 years, maybe 100 years. I don't know how long he might live. But then he will merge with the infinite cosmos. That's what I believe. Okay. So he's that advanced. Okay. And there are other Buddha level souls on this planet. But they're already Buddha level souls, but they still have more incarnations ahead of them. So I think Elon Musk is the one that is going to merge next. And this probably no one's going to accept what I'm saying. It doesn't matter, you don't have to accept that. Okay, I'm talking about energy. This is energy, also all about energy. This is not about fairy tale or Bible or any of that kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with this. Or spiritual community. That has nothing to do with that. Okay. Some people think they're super enlightened when they're stagnator souls. Beginner souls, actually. So the Buddha level soul in your very vicinity may be the person sitting on the street begging for food, okay, and petting a dog, or the person rescuing dogs in Iran, and people are insulting that person and snubbing her and so on, but in actuality she's a Buddha level soul. So that puts things into perspective more energetically. So this video is like massively long, but I needed to make this video to make this clear about the Ego Dissolution Funnel, humbling down, sitting on the couch. For women out there, we must sit down on the couch. It doesn't matter how much they insult us, okay? It's their problem, not our problem, okay? We deal with it right here and now, okay? We let this churn through, we cry with it. It's not looked down on. And if anyone looks down on you crying about it, they're not your friends, okay? You have the right to cry. Crying is healing, okay? For men too, okay? So this is not gender-based. Okay? So, but for the women that have been insulted, I know how horrible that feels. I've been through this many times. I sit with it. I breathe. I hold a rock, okay? I might vent a little bit. And then Paul will say, don't talk to these people anymore. But I go through this, and this is life, this is the bird freeness. There are spikes out there in the world, okay? So we can't ignore that. No, we get hurt sometimes. We sit with it and we look at it. This pain is also from childhood. That's why it is so intense. If we didn't have childhood pain like Bindi Irwin, this stuff would beat off. It wouldn't even that wouldn't even register at all. I think Bindi Irwin gets terribly hated, and because she wants to make the world a better place. So the haters will come at her too, of course. I already know. She gets insults, death threats, all kind. They will nitpick anything they think they can nitpick. So they'll make stuff up. Bindi Irwin is as flawless as it gets. So, and sexy, and she got all. She's a full package. She's young. She doesn't have crow's feet or like jello, and she doesn't have facial hair. I don't have facial hair either, but I'm getting older. So they'll use anything they can devastate you with, you know. And that makes me want to even get older. That makes me want to even go into reverse, you know. And that makes me even... Now I want to become 80 years old with real bad wrinkles and jello pudding under my chin. And say, boo-hoo, I'm still here, motherfuckers out there. I'm still here. I'm still kicking. Yeah, I'm not kicking the bucket yet. Okay, and that's where we need to be at, women out there. That's where you need to be at. You need to show your strengths. Mental strengths. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to love every cell of your body, no matter how old you are. You need to love every wrinkle and jello pudding and dimple and pouch and whatever and bag under the eye and veins and whatever. Terrible, terrible, like, ugh. Oh, it's awful. You know, aging sucks and all of this. But you know what? We need to love our bodies anyway. Okay? And we need to sit with this. And yes, when it hurts, let it hurt. Cry. Cry through this thing. That's the Ego Dissolution Funnel. Okay? You guys take care. Bye-bye. Peace and bliss for all living beings. Infinite love.